Hi everyone, I thought I would put together a little short video that you might be able to follow along with. The sequence is just some basic hip movements, really good for your ankles, your knees, and your hips, and it's really great if you sit at a desk all day long. So I'm sitting in a gentle cross-legged position. However, if this is a bit challenging for you, I always encourage that you lift yourself up a little higher. So I've got a bolster here, but you could grab a couple of pillows, maybe stack a couple of thick blankets on top of each other, and then just, put it underneath your bum and sit up nice and tall. It just helps to relax the hips a little bit more, and it helps to lift the lower back. If this still isn't a comfortable position for you, sitting on a chair is absolutely fine as well. So choosing the most amount of support that you're going to need for your body to be comfortable. So I'm just going to pull this out from underneath me, and we're going to start obviously in a cross-legged position. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to take a couple of very big deep breaths. So in through the nose and out of the nose. And in through the nose, and out of the nose. And one last one. So big breath in, and slow breath out. Good. So we're going to stay here. We're going to take our right hand to our left leg and our left hand behind us on the floor. We're just going to gently rotate to the left. And a couple of big deep breaths here. And then slowly coming back to the center. And the left hand comes to the right knee and the right hand comes to the floor behind you. And then again, you just gently rotate to the right. Being mindful that you're not pulling or pushing or straining to deepen what's happening naturally. So inhaling, and then exhaling and coming back to the center. So a really good way to get the mobility of your hips going is to just befriend the floor. So that's something that I always recommend. The other thing that we're going to start doing is we're just going to lay out on our back. And when we come onto our back, we're going to keep our knees bent. So beginning like this, you're going to extend your leg up towards the sky. And you're going to externally rotate from your femur bone outward. And then place that ankle along your opposite femur bone, hugging your knees into your chest and looping your hands behind the knee. So you can let this foot be kind of sloppy and floppy, or you can flex the foot. It changes the stretch of the outer hip on the opposite side. So you can play around with that a little bit. The other option is this bent leg here. You can straighten that leg up to the sky. You can bend it 90 degrees, or you can bend the knee fully, bringing the heel towards the bum and then taking your hands actually around the front of the shin. So all of these variations have a different effect on the stretch of the hip joint. So just find something that feels comfortable for you to hold. And then you're just going to gently take it to the other side. So you want to straighten the leg up to the sky, feel the rotation, and then place the ankle on the opposite femur bone, bringing the knee into the chest and then looping your hand behind the knee. Again, playing with the extension or that bent knee and pulling the shin in towards the body. So some big breaths. So you're going to feel it sort of on the outer hip, as I said before, but sometimes we feel it in the inner groin, sometimes we feel it in the ankle, and sometimes we feel it in the knee. So just as you move into your poses, observing how your body reacts to it. This is something that I really love to do. You're going to take your one ankle and you're going to tuck it behind your opposite heel. So if you can see what I'm doing here, it goes behind, and then you drop your knee open. The tendency is that the pelvis is going to want to twist a little bit. So if you can root down into this side of your pelvis and keep things neutral, you'll feel a nice extension happening out through this leg here. And again, we settle into the breath. Maybe holding for 5 inhales and exhales. So moving out of it, I always suggest that you take your hand for a little bit of support and just help that leg back to the center, just so that we're not straining our hip. And then again, you want to take your opposite ankle and tuck it behind the heel and let that knee drop open. Again, neutralizing your pelvis. So after you have taken a few slow, steady breaths and you've helped that leg back to the center, if you're somebody that likes to hug the knees into the chest, you have that opportunity right now. If that's not something that you enjoy, then just keep your knees bent with your feet flat on the mat. And then another really nice hip opener is starting to let the knees bound out to the side and sliding the soles of the feet together. Now, I always like to incorporate some shoulder stuff here as well. So if there's no discomfort or injuries or issues in your shoulders, you could potentially start to bring your hands around the base of the skull, like you're chilling on a beach gazing up at the clouds. I like to stay here for an extended period of time. However, sometimes our hip joints start to feel a little achy. And if you're experiencing that, then a nice thing to do is just roll up a towel or roll up a blanket and just slide it underneath your outer hip so that you've got a little bit of support for that leg. Sometimes we can fall asleep here, which is nice. So when your shoulders start to feel a little achy and you're ready to come out of it, I always like to kind of wrap my elbows around my face so that I can slide my hands away from the base of the skull. Then I can take my hands to my outer thighs and just sort of help my legs along. Good. So one last little thing that I like to do to sort of finish up the sequence is to move into a lower body twist. It's very gentle, so the arms can come out to the sides. Again, you can kind of incorporate your shoulders a little bit by bringing your arms into a 90-degree angle, gives you a nice chest stretch, and then allowing your knees to drop over to one side. Okay. Now you can separate your knees and your feet if that's more comfortable. I have bony ankles, so I don't particularly like stacking my feet, so I'll just separate my feet a little bit. And then if there's no discomfort in your neck, you can actually turn your head away from your knees. So that's an option. I've also been playing with just turning my head to the same side as my knees. So turning your head in a position that's comfortable for you. So after a few big breaths on one side, just gently lift your legs, starting to bring them over to the opposite side. Again, you can stack your knees and your feet, or you can separate your knees and your feet, turning your head in a way that's comfortable for you, or even just keeping it in a neutral position. And then just gently bring the knees and the legs back up to the center. Slide the arms down to the sides of the body. And take a couple of big deep breaths, roll over, and then push yourself up. And that's just like a basic hip stretch sequence, something to just kind of keep the lower half of the body moving, maybe after a long day of sitting. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.